A Tale of Two Announcements, read by Leviathan. This is the first book. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven, or we were all going direct the other way. Everybody, it's episode 150 of the Westmarch Workshop, and I just 100% ripped that intro from A Tale of Two Cities for my literature folks out there. So I hope you enjoyed that, but I feel like it really encapsulates exactly what we have in front of us today, because we've been keeping up with the news. I mean, I don't know where your hype train's at right now. Might be in the garbage, might be in a ditch, might be real slow. But without further ado, I want to hear from my esteemed colleagues, Neinball, Dred.
How's it going?
How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I got some things to go through and share later on in the episode. I guess I feel maybe a little bit validated, vindicated, maybe. Might be the right word, but I definitely have to say I fully appreciate that opening. I thought it was beautiful. I cried a little bit. I did.
I heard. I saw.
I'm just lucky that the intro screen was there, so I had some time to wipe away the tears. But yeah,
a tissue for your issue.
I
subscribed to the exclusive Neinball webcam 24/7 stream, so it's a good $5 to see those tears.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
It's real.
You're not supposed to tell people.
Well, I mean, you did write that announcement about how we should, not be concerned about your existent or non-existent webcam, right? Oh, man.
I'm pushing this one over on Dred now.
All I know is I took the hype train that I made image-wise and spread across the internet, and I deleted it. No, I didn't delete it. It's just reciting.
I printed it out just so I could throw it in the garbage.
Thank you. That somehow makes me feel better.
I just keep thinking of all the different, I'm at a loss for words, but like the different cultural references to just things like Crazy Train going off the rails in the Crazy Train, or came so far and tried so hard in the end. Just like all these.
It didn't even matter.
Didn't even matter, man. I had to speculate to lose it all.
The hype train has so much hype it hit the third rail.
Oh Lord. But yeah, we're obviously.
Do you hear that, Mr. Anderson? It is the sound of inevitability.
Oh yes, Matrix quote. Oh, that makes me feel good.
Whoa, Mr. doesn't watch movies here. Getting movie quotes. Look out.
And when you've seen one movie 1,000 times, haven't you really seen all movies one time?
No.
All right. Well, in any case, we've done enough lollygagging here at the beginning of this show. We do have some BlizzCon-related topics and things to talk about with you all, which we're kind of hinting at. So stay tuned. For now, how's everybody doing? Intros, weeks in gaming. Dred, it's been a while. Thank you for being on the show with us.
Yes. Do you want to go through and say that at least we can set expectations for this episode by going through and saying that we're going to give our expectations of BlizzCon later on in the episode. Once we get through some of the kind of deluge of news topics that we have to go through, and we wanted to go and have Dred on the episode tonight, because he's part of the Westmarch Workshop, he's part of the Blizz Pro team, and so we want to kind of go through and put our final expectations and speculations out there for what we're going to be walking into in BlizzCon. We might have got a little bit of help earlier today in directing those expectations, but I guess we're going to get that one in a little bit. But to continue on, so yes, Dred, how have you been doing?
Well, holding together and everything like that. We our new Doggio. We finally got her to the vet for her first checkup. I think ever, kind of, sort of, since we got her. It's a weird long story how we got her, but it turns out that she has Lyme disease, which sounds bad, but it's curable. So we're going after that. But it's like one of those things. It's like taking care of a fur baby. It's like hold her, make sure she doesn't throw up when she's eating her medicine. All this typical shit you do with a kid. So done that before with my niece, so it's no real different now. But other than that, just it's I would say the slow march to BlizzCon, but for me, ever since like February this year has been moving so freaking quickly. It's like I look at the calendar right now. I have 8 working days.
Wow.
I have 8 working days to get 3 contracts done at work, and I'm going, nope. I'll get 2 done. I won't get that 3rd one done. And it's like two of them are worth like $4 million each. I'm like, I'll get those done. The other one, it's Exxon. They can go screw themselves. And for those who don't know what I do AutoCAD drafting, basically 2D drafting for oil refinery equipment. So yeah, when everyone sees Exxon or Shell or Luke Oil or something like that, it's like a gas station. When I go to one of those stations to look at them, I give a rousing finger usually to all of them, because when you deal with them as clients, they're all a pain in the ass. But that's a story for another show. Mm-hmm. Other than that, are we talking about our season and stuff like that too? Or are we gonna keep season 15 for more subplot?
No, I mean, yeah, it's like we don't want to spend too much time because we got a lot to talk about. But yeah, go ahead, let us know.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that. Shepard and Knight, my brothers in arms, for like the past I want to say almost 2 years now. Carried my ass with a power level and early gearing on my Demon Hunter. But last season, this season, just kind of keeping it low, because usually during the summer I usually don't play, because by then we play through winter, we play through the spring, and usually projects creep up, which they did, along with other things. So it's nice to step away, kind of doing the same thing now, and there's too many other projects being done right now, but it's still fun. Was able to at least get Shadows going, so get the 70, get the primals unlocked, do all that kind of fun stuff. Just moving on through and just getting the BlizzCon. Get to see everyone's ugly mugs again for the 6th time.
Yay!
This is gonna be your 6th?
6th in a row.
Nice. This is my 4th coming up. And while you were talking about how many work days you have left, I was just thinking, not even work days, but literally 2 weeks from now, all of us will be in California.
Yep, some a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's gonna go by so quickly.
At least you learned the lesson. Get there on Wednesday. We're proud of you. Most people don't.
Yeah, Wednesday's nice.
It definitely is. And now
for a good transition.
Waiting for transition.
Into something you were going to say.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, and then now I'm trying to push it to Tuesday instead of Wednesday.
It's going to get to the point where you just take all of the last week of October and the first week of November off.
I might as well just move there.
I mean, there's a solution.
I mean, it is. It definitely is.
Oh boy, I guess I'll hop in with my stuff. It's not too much at this point. So, and continuing with trying to keep a great balance of all things, both in hype and lowered expectations, but also in IRL and gaming, I have been doing what I feel is a good job of some fun activities, taking advantage of the fall weather here. So we got like some nice Leaves. I don't know why I'm pointing to the outside, because A, my webcam isn't going to show you anything, and also B, it's super dark outside. But I promise you, there are some beautiful leaves right to my left, right, left. And I also went apple picking and like carved some pumpkins. Like I am Mr. Fall right now, man. So super enjoying being a New Englander at this time of the year.
How seasonal of you.
Hey, you know, I'm that dedicated to seasonal play.
You're a real pumpkin about it.
We have a cold front coming in this weekend, and I think it will drop into the 60s on one of the nights, but it will still be in the 80s during the day. That will be our cold front.
Should I get you a Canada Goose, one of those nice jackets? You're gonna be okay?
You know, I may or may not have ordered that Diablo jacket from the BlizzCon presale, just as some preparation. It won't be here in time, but hey, you know.
They can put it over your dead cold corpse.
Yes, I'll be frozen to death, and you know, at least it's something that they can bury me in.
They always say bury in your finest duds.
I just hope that it fits.
Well, you know, being dead and all, it probably will fit. This is a real like macabre beginning to the show, I gotta say. We're really just embracing the Halloween this time of year kind of theme, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's that time of year. That we
to the genre.
I guess
think there's also a high...
Yeah, I almost said that it's this time of year that we like to embrace dead things, and I think that would actually make it even more like macabre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember what I was talking about anymore, but gaming wise, you know, solo self-found league's gonna be done pretty soon. That's ending this coming Sunday. So only a few more days to get last minute pushes in and all that. And my Demon Hunter is looking pretty solid, and I feel like Flux. I got some decent gear in the last couple of days, just hoping to eke out a few more upgrades, and then probably spend the majority of Saturday pushing. I'm going to go watch a friend run a half marathon on Sunday, so that's like legitimately the last moment that I could have done anything. So it's really just coming down to hopefully getting something good by the beginning of the weekend. And yeah, so I guess I'll report back on that post BlizzCon, because our next episode won't, well, maybe a little bit of spoilers, but we're going to try to deliver some cool content to you guys at BlizzCon. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, we don't have an episode on Halloween, which would be 2 weeks from today. So, you know, we'll all, like I said, we'll all be in California at that point, but look for some potential content to come out amidst all the BlizzCon craziness that weekend.
For sure.
BlizzCon 2018 live and raw with Neinball and Leviathan.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it while we embrace dead things.
This is getting borderline right there. Let's try to bring it back. Bring it back.
This is borderline? Oh. Okay. Setting that bar kind of low. But yeah. I guess to kind of go through, round it out, I don't have too much more to report since the last episode. I haven't really put too much progress into Diablo. I have been playing some Heroes of the Storm because I wanted to go through and finish out the Halloween event and get all the quests done. I did finally go through and get my white mane witch skin on like the day before the what was it? Fall of King's Crest event ended. That was a lot of fun. I enjoy like some of the changes that they've made to the game because it's been a while. And even since the last episode, I somehow managed to fit in some time and played StarCraft 2. And I got
StarCraft 2.
Yeah, and I got rolled hard. And it was a blast. I actually am going to have to go through and try playing that game a little bit more. Because I forgot how much fun that I had playing StarCraft 2.
Even great, just getting destroyed.
Just getting absolutely destroyed. Like, not even a chance. It was like one of those ones where it's like, I don't even know what that unit is. Like, I don't... It's some
What are
sort
you
of
beating me
it's
with?
some sort of ship that's flying in the air. I don't know what that thing. I don't know.
You're just sitting there admiring the other person's APM, like I can't help but just be amazed right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
That's a really big Viking. What's that?
Be sure to stream StarCraft 2. Yeah, we could just have a night of me just getting destroyed on ladder. I don't care. I played ranked. I went there. I did it. You know,
This guy's got big balls.
oh, that's how you test the true metal of man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ah, but yeah. We got anything else? Yes.
I think it's time to get into it, man. Oh,
Okay.
I guess one quick thing that we can touch here.
Quick little thing.
One little quick little that took us a while to get to is it's our 150th episode.
Yay!
yay! Wait,
Because who
I'm
doesn't love
here.
milestones?
Right?
I feel honored.
Yeah, that was one of those ones. I knew exactly where you were going with it. I knew where you were going with that one because it's the next item on the show notes.
Your sequential reading is fantastic. You really leveled up.
Hey, we actually went through and started putting the show notes in a sequential order, and hey, look, it's working. But yeah, no, I can't believe that we've been here for 150 episodes now, and that we're still going through and we're still doing this. So many years later.
I was gonna say that's kind of the nuts part. Is it spans? Obviously, we've changed format over the years, so we went from weekly to bi-weekly, but it still just spans so many years of talking about this game. And you would think at some point we'd run out of things to say, but
nope,
still here.
Nope. It's been
Still here kicking.
Yeah, it's been a year since patch 2.6.1, and that we still have not run out of new things to go through, talk about, figure out, and just waste time on.
In part, thanks to the community too, helping us theory craft all sorts of crazy ideas and keep coming up with topics and lore and all sorts of stuff to consider.
And I guess I could start working on the next set of overlays, I suppose.
Yay! New overlays. New overlays.
Gigs.
I'll actually try to make them easier this time, so you don't have to worry about doing text and PSDs. You just do it straight in OBS, like I was doing for everybody else.
Yeah.
After I made yours, I had a little bit of creative thought enlightenment. Like, I can just do it this way and just let them worry about it.
I mean, that definitely would work. That would work. That would help out a lot. Though, I mean, the PSDs weren't as bad if you had actually just kept the text as a separate layer when you first sent us the PSDs, because they were part of the image, because you had merged it.
Are you criticizing that your site manager as well as your, mind you, free graphics art overlay maker?
Yes.
All right, everybody else observing this, mommy and daddy are fighting right now. It's going to be okay. Lord have mercy. Yeah, so dude, 150, that's sick. I hope that we have 150 more, because that would be 300.
And then remember,
I hope somehow, some way, life works out for both of you in such a manner that you can get this shit back to weekly. I mean, that's the dream right there.
I mean, that is definitely a lofty dream. We'll have to go through and see where the road takes us, but I guess a lot of that will depend, of course, on life, liberty, and love, but also on what comes next. Yeah, what comes next, and what the future has in store for Diablo in general.
Which is a great lead-in. We're so good at these transitions now that we have to announce them every time we do them. To the future.
That's how people know how clever we are, right?
Yeah. Will they know if we don't tell them?
Exactly.
We have to belabor the point. So we're doing it. Here's a transition.
Insert forest tree metaphor.
The next thing on the agenda here is talking about the Eternal Collection, which is the name given to the Diablo 3 version of Diablo 3. on Nintendo Switch. I could have said that more eloquently, but yeah. So that's kind of what we are now targeting, and I think Blizzard has been. We've been talking about this a little in the background. They've been targeting this whole move to the Switch really hard, like almost head-scratchingly hard. Like, why is there so much going into Diablo 3 on the Nintendo Switch? And you guys have thrown out a couple of different theories, which I think are interesting.
Yeah, it is one of those interesting things, because I want to say that this is even bigger than what like the Necromancer pack release was. Definitely is far bigger than any of the other console releases. But I will have to say
sure.
that you know, that kind of collector's bundle and themed Switch dock are sick. Like, I can't wait to get my hands on it. But
well, that was, I remember talking to you and we were like, instant pre-order. I was like, wait, don't pre-order before I pre-order. I want to pre-order.
Yeah, that was one of those ones. It's like I was at work at the time and you had texted me about it, and it was like BRB pre-ordering. And like he didn't understand. I had to go through and tell him that literally the GameStop is below the theater. It is less than 100 feet away from where I work. So I literally just walked out of the theater and down the stairs into the mall and just went and pre-ordered it while we were texting about it.
Instant gratification.
Oh yes.
For waiting for a few days. But yeah, so that's one of the big things that happened was there's a GameStop exclusive for, I believe, the lovely price of $359.99, which is essentially the normal cost of a Nintendo Switch plus a game. And you get what Nine was talking about, which is a Nintendo Switch that's embroidered is not the right word, but decorated, somethinged,
yeah, with
a prettiness of Diablo and other such iconic figures on the actual Switch in the base.
Maybe etched or engraved is a proper term.
Definitely better than embroidered.
Yeah. Branded?
Branded, I like that. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that looks great. And if you do purchase that, you'll get a digital download code for Diablo 3 Eternal Collection. And it comes out, oh gosh, when does it come out? November 2nd. 2nd.
Yeah, so yes. the game itself alongside with the Switch bundle will come out on November 2nd while we're at BlizzCon.
Yep. Hope nobody steals it from my door. People might be mad.
Yeah, that would be problematic. That would definitely be problematic.
If it's gone, I know it's that neighborhood cat, man. He's been eyeing my things.
You just have to get your dog to guard it while you're gone.
Ooh, good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Leviathan's dog to the rescue.
There you go. Always there in your time of need.
And I have seen some people being sad that they own a Nintendo Switch already. Here's what you do. You gift your old one to a loved one, like a significant other. Like, oh, I was thinking of you and I realized you and I share the Switch so much. Like, I just want to give you this one. And they'll be like, wow, you really care for me. And then you're like, yeah, pre-order. The battery. So do that.
Yeah, I think also, what was it? GameStop, since it's a GameStop exclusive, GameStop also right now, they're giving you an extra $25 when you trade in a Switch. So you can trade in your old Switch to buy the new Switch.
Whoa, 25 whole bucks?
Well, it's 25 extra dollars, because I think that they give
bait and switch. It's not funny.
Well, no, because I think they give you like almost like $200 for your Switch.
Bait and switch. Oh, you mean on top of?
Yeah, it's an extra 25. Yeah.
See, but the fact that I was even confused that you would get only $25 just
that tells you how much people expect for GameStop prices.
GameStop. Just want to get my hands around the proverbial neck of GameStop and just like. But yeah, they're lucky they got that exclusive. I think they're gonna make a lot of money off that.
Yeah. I know that there are some people, like, Eldorian is adding it apparently to his Switch collection, as he's got like 3, soon to be, I guess, 4 now.
He's gonna
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know Switches were like trading card games all of a sudden.
Apparently.
Yep. You got to set up Switch Anonymous, and he will be the founding member.
We'll just have JR like, hey, can you stop by our hotel room at BlizzCon? Walks in the door, lock it. This isn't an intervention. This is for your own good.
Where's the Switch? We know you have it on here.
You need to put the switches down.
You've been switching too much.
Mm-hmm. You've been switching too many switches. But yeah, no, that was definitely a pleasant surprise of going through and seeing that, and getting the nice Diablo branded Switch, the Diablo carrying case for it, and hey, you even get the game. What a nice little add-in, right?
Sweet, dude.
Yeah.
And in bait and switch news, there was a couple of interesting things that occurred in relation to Diablo 3 coming to the Switch. There was an article, and I guess I can't quite determine where the source was, but there were multiple outlets reporting this idea that crossplay would soon be a thing. Not a matter of if, but when seemed to be the money quote that people were running with.
Yeah, I think it started with a Business Insider.
That sounds right, yeah. They had talked to someone at Blizzard, I believe, was the source. And I guess the whole idea was, like you mentioned, they've had the game on multiple consoles, PlayStation 3, Xbox, whatever came before Xbox One, because I did a 360 and walked away from it. And then now the Nintendo Switch, that joke's never going to get old, by the way. I don't care what you tell me. Now Nintendo Switch, and the whole idea of like, hey, this game is on multiple consoles. Wouldn't it be sick if all these people could play together and keep that community together? Because, we've actually had a bunch of emails over the episodes of, man, I wish I could find more people to play with on console. I wish the community was more easily built up, or, you know what I mean? So there was this really promising idea of, hey, crossplay is going to be a sick thing. And now, with Fortnite leading the way and all these other companies starting to approach the idea of being able to play no matter what system you're on, it could be sweet. And I guess that's not really a thing, though. It was then further reported that, for whatever reason, that quote wasn't a real quote, or the story wasn't real, or something to that effect, where they got another source from Blizzard that said, hey, yeah, you guys jumped a little ahead of that one. Crossplay's not something that's being looked at currently.
Yep. Yep. So it's they originally reported that it's like you had said earlier, it's a matter of if not when, and then now it's like, no, that statement was never made. While we love the idea, we do not have any plans to implement cross-platform gameplay for Diablo at this time. And that is all that they had to say on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, at the same time, earlier this year, when everyone was going through and having the rumors of a Switch port, and then Diablo went and put out them, turning the little Diablo Switch on and off, and then everyone took that as confirmation that they're making a Switch port. And then, Blizzard PR went through and said, well, we were just having fun. We're not officially announcing everything. 6 months later, we're coming out on the Switch. So, There's potential. There's potential.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah. There's a chance. Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting thing, at least, that if Fortnite has done anything good for the gaming community at large, it is that it managed to get crossplay, across the consoles, because the technology's been there. It just seems that it took Fortnite to get Sony to go, okay.
They were the sticklers behind it, right? I heard they were the ones that kind of prevented crossplay from being a reality for a lot of games.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't want to engage in it, right?
Pretty much. It was just when Microsoft and Nintendo went and started talking about the crossplay, I think it was Sony felt that they were going to potentially lose out on some market share, and they kind of opted into it because at that point they were being forced. They had no other choice. So,
makes sense. Yeah. Business, dollars talk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
But also, speaking of the other consoles and that type of console news, there is a little bit of a contest that's going on, and you have hours left to enter it. I think if I'm going through and reading it correctly.
Yeah, like by the end of this episode, for those watching live, you'll probably have a couple of hours, 2 hours, 1 hour.
Yep. So there's the Boon of the Herodrum sweepstakes to basically coincide with the Season of Greed sweepstakes that they did last season. You have a chance at winning a specialty branded, decaled, I don't know, themed, embroidered, special embroidered Xbox and PlayStation. This time, instead of going through and featuring, kind of like the goblin-esque elements, that this is of the, the Herodric or the Kanai Cube elements to go through and do the Herodric theme for this season. So you've got a couple chances. You can head over to Diablo3.com to check out that post and go and try and enter it while you still have time. If you're not watching this live, well, I hope you entered it already, as it is. It's tonight at midnight Pacific.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Okay.
And then it's gone forever.
Forever and ever until they do another one,
which they probably will. And that does kind of bring back to one of the points I had led off the GameStop exclusive with, which is, again, why is Blizzard... well, okay. They're doing these things because they're nice things to do in general. Like, I guess you can't really question, like, why are they doing this? Why spend the energy on creating contests and giving things away? But I guess the bigger thing I'm trying to understand is there's been a push, I feel, for engagement with particularly their Twitter account, with the main way to enter these contests being retweets of two Twitter posts. In general, we've been seeing a lot of kind of flavor posts or engagement posts come up with things of the past. Like, I think one was the slaughtered caffeine in the game. There was kind of like a little GIF or GIF, depending on who you are, with that. And then I think there was one. Thank you. One lately with Leoric, and then there've been some they've always been like retweeting cosplays and things, so just kind of to keep that community flow going. But it does make you wonder, and maybe it doesn't make you wonder because maybe it's obvious, but the fact that they seem to keep building it further and further, and we've seen other contests when they had the last seasonal theme that also involved Facebook interaction, so trying to get more users over there as well. But they do really seem to be honing in on building up their social media engagement and those platforms. But for what purpose?
What purpose indeed?
Will they be using those avenues to deliver future messaging and announcements? Is there some reason that...
Is it going to...
Okay, I'm going to go unfollow then.
Is it going to be an announcement of an announcement? Or an announcement of a lack of an announcement?
A tale of two announcements.
Oh, but yeah. I mean, there definitely is one of those things that they are ramping up that social media interaction. Because there hasn't been too much, like last year. Like you mentioned, they would do like the cosplays, and they would go through like the sets that you were going to get with the Herodric, or not the Herodric, Hadrig's Gift. Going into the season. But I think now they've got a little bit more incentive, if for nothing else than just continuing themed seasons, that they are, having something, a new little spin on the game every couple of months, that they have that way of continuing to keep the engagement up and going as we lead towards the future and whatever the future itself may bring. But, yeah, I don't know. It is a definite change this year as opposed to the last couple of years in terms of their media footprint and their kind of advertising muscle.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I know this seems like backtracking a little bit, but even when the Switch Diablo 3 version was all but a rumor at that point, everyone was like kind of like why? And my biggest points were like, it makes sense because it would be Blizzard's way of getting back to Nintendo, being able to say, okay, we're back on, not only back in consoles, and Diablo 3 led the way and Overwatch followed and in its footsteps. So if anything, it's just continuing a trend and just trying to get on all the big three console platforms. But also, even though we'll be touching on it, maybe more derail, touching the third rail circumstances. Whatever projects come out next, having the Eternal Collection come out on the Switch lays the infrastructure and foundational support on the platform already. Because you have to imagine the Switch came out, what, a year or two ago? Or something like that. It's still a more or less current generation system. So if it's going to go at least another 2 or 3 years, again, we'll touch on this later, but if the next Diablo game is within that, schedule, then when it comes to bringing that game to all the consoles, they've already done some of the foundational infrastructure work with, with Battle.net, with login systems, with that kind of support.
Yeah.
So they don't have to debug that as heavily as they would if they were starting from scratch with a new game. It makes future stuff easy. It's kind of like you have the Blizzard launcher. Okay, you don't have to build a launcher for your next title. You just take what game you're doing and incorporate it into that launcher, like that kind of thinking.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Looking at it from that angle, so you could be future proofing.
Yeah, and I mean, if nothing else, then it gets the name, it gets your name and your brand, in the heads and on the tongues of people on that particular console. So it's something that you're wanting to go through and push forward. Will after the Diablo 3 launch, if it is like really successful on the Switch, does that mean Overwatch is next?
Right.
Just
they could pave the way.
Yeah, they're just kind of like using it to like gauge interest to see if they want to bring other titles to it.
And one thing you guys had mentioned too, I forget exactly who to give credit to, but you kind of noted that it's a mutually beneficial experience because, of course, Blizzard does get to, like you said, enter the full gamut of being on all the consoles, but also Nintendo gets its mature game title, which when you guys had mentioned it, I thought, oh yeah, that's right. Like Nintendo really does have this reputation for being a bit more for kids, or with just their iconic Mario kind of footprint. It's always been a bit more cartoony, but this is like a grimmer, darker entry into their catalog.
Yeah, because that's something that I think Nintendo, ever since after the GameCube, but definitely put a lot more focus on like that family friendly first type showing. And this could just be them wanting to get a bit more into like that. We're a console for gamers too, and getting a Blizzard title onto your console, especially a big AAA title, M-rated game would be a lot for them wanting to say that, hey, we can be taken seriously as a gaming console too. We're not just selling to our own built-in user base. We want to grow that Switch or Nintendo market and that brand. Because there's been the whole announcement itself got Reggie involved in it, and that's not something that you see every day with just any other third-party developer going through and bringing a title over to the Nintendo console. So it was something that I feel was big on both sides.
Yeah,
definitely agree. Right on. So yeah, I guess we'll see what continues to go down with that relationship, not only just for Blizzard Diablo specific, but like you said, potentially this bridges Overwatch or maybe any future IPs that they have yet to reveal. Could also now enter those markets if they, again, have the infrastructure done and dusted because of D3. Another thing that I think we can, again, attribute to this idea of Diablo, the franchise, kind of making a bigger footprint in everyone's mind, especially leading up to this BlizzCon that does seem to be somewhat Diablo-centric, is now this blog post that came up and kind of had a little bit of a rough launch. The Quest for Treasure, which is a in real life loot hunt and involves essentially these clues that, again, being driven by the Twitter engagement, the Diablo Twitter account every now and again will tweet something that says, hey, here's a clue for you to go and find this item either on the web through a link or clicking on an image. And eventually there will be like QR scanner involvement, things to go find potentially in real life. but what you're doing is developing your stash of treasures. And as you can see on screen, if you're watching the video, there's a inventory that you have if you go to d3loot.com and log in. It's 100% connected to Blizzard, so don't worry that you're giving your information away to some random company or something.
Because it is worth mentioning that d3loot.com like totally sounds official, and I'm not at all concerned about going through and submitting and linking my Battle.net ID to this website.
It was funny when this first came up. All I could think about, I sent a message to Nine and everybody in Slack. I was like, this really just reminds me of like the D3 vanilla days where everyone was losing their account and items, and everyone was like, hey, you should put SMS protection on your account and all this. Like, this sounds great.
Yep.
You know, D3notascam.com.
Yep. D3 legit.
Oh God.
I was gonna say D3 hashtag totally legit.net.
.edu. But this is legit. This is actually a really cool opportunity as well, because what Nine was scrolling through, there were some actually insane prizes that you could win here. Chief among them being replicas of some of the items that we're hunting for. So, you know, representing the Demon Hunter is a Crider Shot. For the Crusader, there's a Johanna's Argument, which is a freaking flail. Like, you could actually own a replica flail. And if you look at the contest entry rules, Seth in our BlizzPro think tank pointed out that the value has to be announced for how much these things are for what you're winning. And the flail was like rated at $3,500 or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy what the dollar values on some of these replica weapons are. And I don't think that they've actually shown the actual replicas themselves. They've just been using the in-game models. But I can't wait to actually hopefully see what they look like, you know, IRL, how they came out.
Definitely.
No, I think if you were to go back to the website, I think the main image is the items. They're just small. Because the Wanda Woe, I think, looks different.
Oh.
And I would love to have that Wanda Woe. Just like have it hanging above the monitors.
Yeah.
Or using it to summon your Patronus.
I don't know if I can control fire that much. I may burn myself in the process.
Little wizard. Dread, you're a wizard.
Blame SVR.
But yeah, so the Nine is just in any case, this is a really cool contest. Go to the diablo.blizzpro.com website where we have written an article, and you can check out the details on how to enter and if you're eligible, because some countries and states, etc., are not unfortunately eligible to enter. But yeah, there's a treasure hunt going on. Thunderclaw has debunked all of it apparently, or you know, some of the links he found maybe no longer work, but he was brute forcing his way through finding all the entries and stuff. So I'm sure once some of them get figured out, if you don't want to go the route, it kind of reminds me of set dungeons where originally you would take the little in-game thing to go find the clue to see where the actual set dungeon was, or wait 5 minutes and then Google it and someone will have a guide for you. So either way, it's a chance to win, no guarantees. So get as many entries as you can.
Yeah, and you know, who knows? And if you are a listener of the show and you win one of them, I want that to be your submission for item of the week. Like, it has to be.
Oh yeah,
it has to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even better if you could like create a red border in real life and like put it around yourself and the item.
Send it to me. I'll Photoshop it. And the item, yeah, I'll do it in real life.
Make it primal.
Oh yes.
But yeah, that'd be cool. So we want to see it if you win. Definitely.
Going through and moving on, we've gotten word that the Book of Adria has been delayed. Because that was actually supposed to come out earlier this week. But
this was supposed to be the lore episode.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the lore episode, but oh well. Yeah, I guess we will have to postpone that for a little bit. I'm sure you're so broken up, Leviathan.
I didn't even think I was gonna make the show once I realized that it wouldn't be a lore one. I was distraught. Yep. I was crying. I was. Even now, I feel moved.
Story time with Nine has to wait for another day.
Has to, yeah, wait for another day. It has to wait weeks. But on Monday, if you had it pre-ordered through Amazon or some other place, all of a sudden you got some notifications that it wasn't shipping, and that its release date was changed from the 15th to, I think, like, to be determined, or that it was held up in processing. Like, instead of saying shipping, it was processing. But yeah. We currently don't have ETA on it yet. I don't think that there's been an update as far as when it's going to be released. But now this is different because it's not like the comic, where the comic was basically kind of like confirmed by Titan to have been nixed. This one just seems that maybe it was a shipping error or something like that, but it at least is being delayed but not canceled. Because they're not, I don't believe that they are refunding anybody money like people were getting refunded for the comic.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully we do get it in just, in delayed fashion. I think I've seen some people throw around the UK date, because there was a time where I was trying to find what date released, and I noticed that on Amazon.co.uk, it was noted to be coming out on November 20th. So I almost wonder if they had updated for a delay, or if it was just going to come out later in that region. I don't know if that's kind of surprising though, because that's so far away and very different from the original date.
Yeah, it's I think that might have just been for like localization, because there's a bunch of different regions within the European Union that were having different release dates. Yeah, I think like the UK. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just. Sorry, you go ahead.
It was just because, the UK had a different release date from France, which had a different release date from Germany, and so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was like November 15th versus the 1st versus whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll have it maybe by the next official episode or somewhere around there.
Yeah, I get the feeling that will probably be that. Like, I don't know what would cause like a delay like that, but yeah, I don't think that it's anything like what the comic is, with being indefinitely postponed. Because we even saw one of the writers, dang it, who was it that actually went and had posted that? Robert Brooks had actually just posted a picture of the book, like in his hand, saying soon, that, so it's gonna be out sometime shortly.
Indeed.
Yep. Because actually going back and looking at it, yeah, he had it posted October 10th, next week, ... And then he also had Matt Burns, another one of the people on the creative team over there at Blizzard, saying, it's like, don't you love a copy? Don't you love the smell of a newly printed book? So yeah, it's coming. It's definitely coming.
This is just one thing to wait for.
Mm-hmm.
And other things that we were waiting for?
BlizzCon.
And some announcements. And I guess this is probably the best time to now hop into the meat of the show and the potatoes of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the gravy of the show. Because BlizzCon... Yes. BlizzCon's coming 2 weeks... Well, 2 weeks from this Friday. I keep wanting to say 2 weeks from now, but that's just when we'll be arriving. Or some of us will be arriving.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get here faster than any of us are ready for, and I guess to cover the majority of things that have occurred since we last had an episode, actually I don't even know how to approach it. We got the floor plan, which I think drove even more hype into the community. Mm-hmm. If you want to talk about it a little bit, because we saw front and center that in the Mythic Hall, where the main stage of BlizzCon is held, there's a new layout to that stage. So normally it's just chock full of seats and no space for anything else. Mm-hmm. But this year, if you're watching live again, you can see on the screen, or if you're on our VOD, they shortened the amount of seats in there, which I was trying to explain is maybe due to the fact that now they simulcast all the other halls, where previously if you wanted to see opening ceremony, you needed to be in Hall D. So that could help with them saying, hey, we can free up some spots in here. And what that freed up, apparently, was space for Diablo 3 to be front and center. Specifically labeled, by the way, Diablo 3 demo. So that's something to keep in mind. And we're kind of attributing that likely to them wanting to have the Switch available for people to play, the Eternal Collection Edition. Herodic Retreat, huh? Nine, what do you think about that?
I think that we can actually go through and talk about that one, because the Herodic Retreat is actually going to be a meetup spot for the Switch.
Da-da-dum.
Yep.
Kind of akin to the Slaughter Cafe, but less, because obviously the Slaughter Cafe back in the day also had like a bar and like seating. I think we'll probably have still ample seats and places for people to, like you said, link up and play on Switch. I think that's going to be the main purpose of it, but it'll probably still find its way to be that, like, hey, meet up at the Herodic Retreat, and then let's go check out the rest of BlizzCon or something too.
Yeah. So it definitely is a couple of things that'll be worth going through and checking out. So, but of course there's like the big kind of conspiracy theory that's going on right there, is because the big open space that's sitting right there, right there,
wide open spaces.
About what could that be? What could that be indeed? But I do want to go through and say that from prior years' BlizzCons, that this is how the stage was originally set up once they first started including a Hall D. That is just going to be that this is like what it was beforehand. That they had the stage all the way set against the back wall instead of the divider wall. And they had some demo spaces there towards the back. And I think that probably goes back to what you were saying, how everything gets simulcast everywhere else, so they can use that extra space to go across, the entire convention center. There's a lot of people that were going, straight to the Hearthstone stage. And they actually did part of the opening ceremony from the Hearthstone stage. And
the Overwatch stage, too, when Darren came out. Candy!
Yeah.
Candy!
So, yeah, that could just be in years prior. There's been loads of big open spaces that, even though like on the map it kind of shows like this is where the demo area is, there is of course as equally as big of a spot, like right here, but no one's expecting them to like go through and announce World of Warcraft 2, and there is places that they're just going to have space they can't fill,
Yeah, if you even think back to last year, so I have a couple things to say about this too, but in regards to this in particular, sometimes an open space is just an open space. I think it's one of those issues where the hype is so real that you want to read everything into everything, and so you're looking at the map and you're like, I see the map, but what don't I see? What aren't they telling me? And sometimes you just take what is being given to you at face value. So if you look back to last year, for instance, the space that's currently empty where World of Warcraft's stuff is happening, that was that big, gigantic, you get like a 3D print of one of your character's models, and they set up like an Alliance versus Horde diorama display. Gigantic thing, but it took up so much space. Like it literally would have filled that spot that's now blank. So they could end up doing another exhibition like that, or literally leave it open and just have more flow through space. Something else to keep in mind is the map is not like a 1-to-1 or not 100% to scale or anything like that. So just because it looks gigantic doesn't even mean that it's necessarily gigantic, or that it could fit something else, or that something might be there that's not being put there. I just feel like something to always keep in mind is that there's like three sides to things, right? There's, what is it? It's your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and then like the actual truth or something. So like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. And then the other one I do want to throw out there for discussion is the reason why I think some people are keying in on Diablo 3 being kind of stuck near the main hall and having that be significant. If you look at the theme of the map, each hall is kind of dedicated to a franchise that Blizzard has. If it's not World of Warcraft, then next door is Overwatch. If it's not Overwatch, then over in the new expansion area, it's Hearthstone. And Diablo doesn't really have a spot within that. So like the next best place to put it is where there's open space, and that just so happens to be the Mythic Hall, which you could read into, but maybe it's not significant.
Yep. So you have the Warcraft demo and the Warcraft stage, the Heroes stage with the Heroes demo. You have the StarCraft stage with StarCraft demo area alongside the Overwatch arena opening up into the Overwatch demo. And then all the way out here, all by itself, Hearthstone in its own little territory, orbiting the convention center. So,
in space.
yeah. So yeah,
But yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
we just we need Diablo esports, and then we'll have a stage and a booth area and a demo area to match.
Oh yeah, but we can only hope that happens, right?
Someday, some sweet day.
Yep. So we shall see. But yeah, I guess this is we're continuing to build towards it without just going through and saying what we're getting towards here going into the episode. But there's some other clues that we've been tipped off to that open space might just be open space. But before we get to that,
I love it.
we do have one other thing to go through and talk about, and that is related to BlizzCon, Con Before the Storm, which we've talked about over the past couple of years. And last year, Leviathan actually went to go through and got to be on it, and will again this year with the whole BlizzCon kickoff and general podcasting panel at the World of Podcasts at Con Before the Storm on the Thursday prior. Leviathan will be going through and repping the Westmarch workshop.
Yeah, buddy, bringing that Diablo presence to the kickoff panel. Should be a lot of fun. And JR is actually going to be there this time too, representing Well Met and Hearthstone. So we're going to just slowly take over that panel until it's just full Blizz Pro.
Yeah, 110%. And just call it the Blizz Pro panel. And all is said and done. But some other cool things to go through and keep an eye out for is that there'll actually be a podcast before the convention itself. And that's going to be at twitch.tv/Con Before the Storm. And that will be October 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And our good friends, what is that? Or actually, sorry, not at the 28th at 10 p.m. Eastern will be the general Blizzard podcast. It's going to have Dean from the Cool Story Bro is going to be on there repping for the Diablo community.
The great Deanie.
Yep. There will also be a podcast at 7 p.m. Eastern on October 28th, but that one is specifically Warcraft related and not a general Blizzard, all Blizzard franchise titles.
It's gonna be exciting. Yeah, so we got representation, man. I feel like we've slowly gotten the Diablo presence increased in these World of Podcasts, Con Before the Storm, which Ro is noting. Con Before Storm is like their shortening of it. So twitch.tv/Con Before Storm. No it's edgy.
Okay. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, so hey, what's new? Love you, Nine. I'm excited, man, and I hope everyone that does. Again, this is free to the public, by the way. This is 100%. Don't need a BlizzCon ticket or anything. If you're just in the area, you want to come over to the Anaheim Hotel for the kickoff panel. That is, that's the one that's in person. Anaheim, 4th floor, Hilton. Good times. It's a lot of fun. There's the art gallery, which Dred always loves because he gets crazy, sick things from there.
Oh, I already won something.
You did?
Yeah. And it's Diablo themed.
Whoa!
You'll see it that night.
Nice.
I may actually donate it to you guys to give it away on the show.
Whoa! Ooh. Look at that. Fancy. So yeah, dude, the whole Con Before the Storm experience is great because it really just gets your juices flowing for BlizzCon. It's a good pregame, if you will.
I know it gets my alcohol going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just worried, but it's gonna be fine. Just hangovers are great. You can cure them with more drinking. I hear.
The hair of the dog that bit you.
That's what I always say. Yeah, every morning. Damn, Leviathan's dog bit me.
We have to come out with a drink now called Leviathan's Dog.
Ooh. Tequila's in there for sure. All right, we'll theory craft that one.
We'll theory craft it. We'll work it out. Put that one in the next solo self-found league.
There we go.
Yeah. And then details for the Westmarch workshop meetup at the convention itself. We're leaning towards Saturday, but just keep an eye on the WM Workshop, our Twitter account, in order for final details for that one. There's still a couple of things that we're trying to figure out as far as our schedules revolving around BlizzCon. There's some things happening behind the scenes that are they're making things a little bit difficult this year, and so our availability in between panels and such might be a little bit less, but we will definitely go through and make something work. But we're definitely looking at probably a Saturday for a Westmarch Workshop meetup, and then like every night after the convention in one of the hotel lobbies, copious amounts of alcohol will be a Westmarch Workshop meetup for certain.
The after hours meetup.
Just like the
Westmarch after night.
It's just like the post show.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It gets much raunchier, and Neinball will tell you all you want to know about anything, really.
Yeah, probably.
Sweet nothings in your ear.
Yeah, did you know that the Emperor Penguin is 4 feet tall, an average of 95 pounds, and can actually dive to depths of over 1,000 feet?
I can't say I knew any of those facts.
Okay.
But you can learn more.
Yeah, there you go. Just, buy me a drink and we'll talk about penguins.
Wow. Get the penguins on the first drink.
What can I say? I'm easy like that.
See, now I'm just imagining you nine getting drinking enough and telling someone to sit on your feet and just watching over them, like it's like an egg or something.
I think Dred just revealed his foot fetish.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that definitely that went a direction that's even weird for me, but okay.
All right, should we rein it back in here?
Sure. And speaking of reining things in, let's talk about today's announcement.
Can I just say the transitions tonight, without having any of them be seamless, man? On point.
On point.
Really nice transition.
It is, wasn't it? That was a good one. That was a good one. I saw the opportunity and I took it. Yep. But speaking of transition, as we transition to the webpage. So, as in typical Westmarch Wednesday news release fashion, there was a blog post that went up just a couple hours ago that was meant to set expectations for what we can expect at BlizzCon for Diablo. This one, I think for most people, probably pumped the brakes a little bit on their hype train. And just basically, it was a short but sweet little news post. BlizzCon 2018 is almost here, and we've seen a lot of rumors flying around about our plans for Diablo at the show. These are very exciting times. We currently have multiple teams working on different Diablo projects, and we can't wait to tell you all about them when the time is right. We know what many of you are hoping for, and we can only say that good things come to those who wait, but evil things often take longer. We appreciate your patience as our teams work tirelessly to create nightmarish experiences worthy of the Lord of Terror. While we won't be ready to announce all of our projects, we do intend to share some Diablo-related news with you at the show. November 2nd will be an especially diabolical date. Not only is it the first day of BlizzCon, but it'll also be when Diablo 3 arrives on the Nintendo Switch. If you're planning to pick up the game, the digital download will be available starting at midnight on launch day, or if you're joining us in Anaheim, be sure to bring your console. We'd love to slay some demons with you on the show floor, which is apparently what the Herodic Retreat is supposed to be for. And then again, we want to thank you for your patience and support, and we are eternally grateful to you and the millions of other Diablo fans around the world whose passion for this franchise inspires us and keeps our fires burning. We'll see you in hell. end at BlizzCon. And so there you have it. It definitely is going through and setting some of those expectations, but it is one of those that it's like, well, I guess we can kind of rule out some certain things going through and being announced at the convention.
Yeah. We had a whole prediction segment here, you see, and you know, one of those things to predict was like, hey, what's the chance of a D4? I think the only D4 we get is if anyone brings some dice to the show.
I can arrange that. I can arrange
Of course
that.
you get.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess first takes on this, because I saw some very passionate things being written, Dredscythe, and the community in general, I think, reacted the way you would expect. I saw a lot of disappointment, saw a lot of high-key, emotional reactions to this, which the way I'm trying to reason it is that I'm empathetic with everyone that definitely stepped and rode on the hype train, because it felt like things were starting to build that momentum. Even if you weren't necessarily reading heavily into everything, you did feel like there was a percentage increase with each thing that maybe they would reveal D4 or like let us in on exactly what the next big plan was. But I you know, just to kind of put my stance out there, I think if you were relatively keeping your emotions in check and looking at things from a realistic point of view, it's something that we hammered, I felt, so hard at the first half of the year, and then started to like slowly ebb away from and let the hype come into the show. But we kept saying that it just did not feel likely that D4 would have any presence at BlizzCon 2018.
Yeah.
It still felt early, right?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something we've been harking on for forever, and I've been sticking to my guns and replying to everybody that's been asking me on Twitter ever since Brandy's Future of Diablo video, that I still was doubtful that D4 would be announced at this year's BlizzCon. And I guess it, you know, bringing it full circle to the beginning of the episode, it is for this that I at least feel a little bit vindicated, that I stuck so strongly to those, to kind of like that opinion, because, you know, we've only had the inklings of this unannounced project for 3 years. It's going to take longer than that for them to make D4. There's a lot of pressure on them to make sure that this one is like perfect, flawless, you know, and
hits the mark right away.
Oh yeah, and that they're going to need more time. And Blizzard has been burned so many times in the past, especially Diablo 3, you know, announcing it 4 years prior to its release, because they kept hitting one, you know, developmental snag after hiccup, you know, after issue that caused it to get delayed further and further and further. That I don't think they ever want to repeat that again, and they're not going to announce it until it's likely a year out, you know, from like release or beta or something like that. They've been sticking with that with pretty much like all of the WoW expansions, Overwatch, and then such. So that's my expectation going forward, that we will not hear about an official confirmation of Diablo 4 until it's a year from their prospective release. And that this blog post today pretty much all but says that they are working on Diablo 4, you know, but it's like we know that they've been working on it for a while. We know that they're working on it. They know that we know that they're working on it, just no one's saying anything, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's just the way that I think it's going to be.
One more thing before we maybe go a little further, I do want to put at the top of this conversation is I think it's very easy as a passionate fan of the game to look at this and just instantly write off BlizzCon 2018 and say, oh, they got us hyped for nothing. They bait and switched, for lack of a better phrase. And now it's going to be all about the Switch or whatever, and we already know about that. I think the main thing that you have to keep in mind here is in the Future of Diablo video, and even in this blog post, which people just glanced at, I'm sure, and were like, oh god, the hype train is dead. they mentioned that they are working on multiple projects and that there will be announcements. Like, there's still reason to be excited about BlizzCon, even if you're not keying in on just like the human aspects of seeing your friends or whatever, right? Like, if you're just there for announcements, they literally are still guaranteeing an announcement of something Diablo related.
Oh yeah.
So there's still something to be excited for.
It's pretty much, I think, I responded to a couple people on Reddit a couple of months ago when the big hype train was going through and starting, when I had asked them, you know, that they don't know what to think, you know, it's like, am I going to be disappointed? Oh, they're just building up my hype so I can be disappointed in BlizzCon again this year. And I just, you know, I'd ask them, well, is the only thing that won't disappoint you Diablo 4? Because if the only thing you're looking forward to is Diablo 4 and no other announcement will cut it, then yeah, you're probably going to be disappointed. You know, but that doesn't mean that there's not other things to announce.
Exactly.
I will, let's see, I will try to tastefully let's say, I will try to echo the same positive sentiments you are, but on a different path. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah, was I falling for the hype personally? I think I was at that border edge before it became a little too unrealistic. My reasons for wanting DFAR are not that I want the next game for the next game. It's more I just want to move beyond Diablo 3 itself. I mean, we've played it for 6 years. We've pretty much done what we can do. Yes, they can announce new stuff for it, but depending on what that is and how it fits into the current game systems, like if it's a DLC character pack, whether I choose to buy that or not, my game experience doesn't change. If it's a big enough system, like, you know, adding something equivalent of an adventure mode to the game, that's decent. But then would we also consider that more or less expansion level content? This is all kind of, you know, going back and forth. I think the whole point, you know, cut a lot of the emotion and trying to stay more neutral, more, you know, keep a lot of perspective open on the matter, and just, you know, as in life as in general, is when it comes to things like this, you know, like last year, how we basically got an announcement there was going to be nothing. Okay, we didn't really have anything to go on. We were told ahead of time, look, don't expect anything, but we are continuing to support Diablo 3, just how the year prior when the Necromancer was announced. And forgive me, I forgot the co-founder's name. Cue one of you if you happen to remember.
Adam?
Yes, when he came out on stage and he reaffirmed his commitment. Now that we're kind of living in the not even, you know, 24 hours since this announcement, should we have viewed Brandy's video as more of a third iteration of this we are committed to Diablo versus what we all perceived it as hype? And if that was the aim of the video, then I felt in good intentions, potentially bad execution, because from a PR perspective, and you two may have your opinion and everyone else will have theirs, you can't go wrong not making an announcement, not doing a video, not doing anything to send a message. Because if at the end of the day you're not really going to show anything, then there was nothing expected, nothing lost. But if you're going to do this kind of video and then go forward, and let's not fool ourselves, the hype level was 11 out of 10. If you take the video out of it, the goodie bag having its Diablo statue, the schedule and the floor map position, again, hindsight we know now, but we didn't know then, the comics and the book being released, which were precursors to at least vanilla, if not similarly to Rebirth Souls, all the puzzle pieces were falling into place besides the video. We have to view the video as basically an exclamation point on all the trail pieces. We all would have more or less round up where we are now, except the egg would have been on our face. I think at this point, if I could say something to Blizzard, is going forward, just don't make these videos anymore. Just don't do them. There's no point to them, because if you have something and you pull back, or if you didn't have anything to begin with, why amp up the community? Why try to? Because these reconfirmings to the community you're behind the game are beginning to come off like they're retrospectives, which are great, but it's like you do it once, you fool me. Do it, whatever. You know how the saying goes.
I will go back and say one thing. Have you rewatched the video since reading the blog post?
I haven't, but I know it's basically things are coming.
They're saying
ready to be shown.
They're saying the same exact things. The blog post pretty much says the same things that Brandy said in the video, but with a more emphasis, you know, on the whole certain, because in the video she said certain projects are going to take longer than others, you know, but we'll still have some news for you at BlizzCon. You know, it's saying the same exact thing in this blog post, but because everyone assumed that that meant Diablo 4 and were running with that one, now they had to make another blog post just saying, you know, some things, wink, 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 are going to take longer than others, you know, and to kind of like reset expectations at that point.
Yeah, look, I understand that. I'm not... From where I was to where I am now earlier in the day, I'm in a much different space. I accept it. It is what it is. But the thing that we all learn is when we get older as an adult, you can only control your reactions to things.
Mm-hmm.
So while the statement that was put out in the video, yeah, that's fine. It was like, you know, some things will take longer. Some things we may have some things, emphasis on may, to talk about or show at BlizzCon, that's fine. But if that was put out to curtail a reaction, they can't control how people react. Putting out this blog post today, is it going to control how people react? I mean, the only thing is, it makes people who are now saying, "Oh no, they're hiding secret messages in the video." Like that's reaching now. Like we can all agree that's reaching. You know, Diablo 4 or whatever. Being a dead horse, like no, it's just I think it kind of boils down. It may be like I don't know if you want to boil it down to maybe trying to micromanage the community too much. I'm just saying at this point, I would just have rather just been pleasantly surprised with whatever we would have gotten at BlizzCon versus getting this video and then, you know, some things appearing. Maybe if at the end of the day it seems a little PR sloppy, even if it's not directly Blizzard's fault and it is the community's fault for how we react, one way or another, we all share the responsibility in how we react to these things, but also how we carry ourselves. There has to be some responsibility held on all accounts. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. To me, it sounds like you're trying to assign blame to Blizzard when Blizzard never promised you anything. The video, like Nine just said, all they did was essentially tell us their plans without telling us their plans. We, the community, tried to fill in all sorts of things in the gaps where there was nothing there. Like when I said, sometimes you just take at face value what is being shown to you, that could have done the community a wonder of help in not getting so excited about this or not taking it to a place that it wasn't yet meant to go. The thing that I want to try to express in this without getting like too impassioned, because I'm like fired up right now, is just that I don't think it's fair to put so much of the onus on Blizzard when Blizzard, all they were trying to do, I saw one comment in Twitch chat, which I thought was rather salient, was it's a PR piece. Like they have things that are coming out, like you even mentioned, things that were rumored, like a Netflix series and the comics. The comics we essentially knew were eventually going to come and then they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Book of Adria, Nintendo Switch version, like they have products to sell. So they're not going to sit on their hands and say, let's not say anything about our products and just hope people buy them. There's a reason to go out and make a statement. And I don't think it's fair to say that you're limited to the amount of hype you're allowed to generate, because if you do too much, I'm going to get too excited and take it to a place where you haven't even told me that that's what you're doing, but that's just what I assume now. That's crazy. Like, you have to take some responsibility for your interpretation of essentially assuming something that no one told you to assume. They didn't say that Diablo 4 is coming out. They didn't say to expect that at BlizzCon. If at any point you thought that Diablo 4 was going to be announced at BlizzCon 2018, how does that even change your life? Because the game's not coming out the next day. So even if they announce it at BlizzCon 2018, you are still in a holding pattern. You tell me you want something to do with the Diablo franchise. Why can it not be acceptable for them to announce something else at BlizzCon this year that's not D4, but might hold you over until Diablo 4 is officially announced and will become a product, and it's now closer than when they announced it, you know, years before, and you're just not caring about the other things that they've announced instead or in the meantime, because all you can think about is D4 and wanting the newest version of the game. I totally 100% am on your side in wanting to essentially be a step beyond D3. Mm-hmm. We've done it. We've played it. I 100% agree with you. But I think there's got to be some sort of middle ground where you don't just heap all the blame on Blizzard. You can't tell me that you look at Reddit every day and feel like the community hasn't done that. We have examples of them doing this to themselves year after year after year. So without an expectation set, and maybe I think it might be fair criticism to say, look at why you have to keep making some of these posts where you now rein expectations back in. Again, you know, blame on both sides, I would say. But I don't know, is any of that resonating with you at least?
No, it is. And let me not fool myself in saying that I wanted the hype to be real, but I wasn't, you know, full blown on drinking the Kool-Aid when the head guy says take this pill, you nod and swallow and take the pill. No, but it's just because it's contrast from last year to this year. It's more a lot of small mental things. It's like we like you do a mental check. It's like, hey, last year they did a video anti-happiness. This year there's a video saying something, and you can guess what you distilled the video this year. It says something. So that's why even before I said everything else, I said in hindsight now, I view that video as basically just another reconfirming of their commitment to Diablo, because that's all that video really means now. It's like we have multiple projects.
Well, I mean, what if they? I mean, well, going back to it, what if they announce one of those projects that is not Diablo 4 at BlizzCon?
It's exactly as I said. It's
yeah, I mean, it's more than just reconfirming their commitment to Diablo. If they come out with a whole new game or a remaster or something like that, there's a lot of things they can do that is not Diablo 4 that would warrant, you know, a PR video like that.
Well, at that point, the video is warranted, yes, but see, this is where we get stuck with the quagmire of PR marketing, what they know, what they're ready to release versus what we get versus what we know. There's too much if-thens involved in this, and this is where it gets quagmire. So that's why, in my opinion, from my viewpoint, I just would have rather not had the video at all. But that's my opinion. Everyone else will have theirs. I'm just at the point I would rather just been pleasantly surprised, you know. Oh, well, Diablo logo on the main stage or an open ceremony. Ooh, we're getting something. What are we getting?
And I'm sure the counteraction, the counterpart to that is probably the millions upon millions upon millions of page clicks and, you know, search engine results that Diablo 3 was getting as soon as that video went live.
Oh, I'm fully 110% agree with you. That was everything. I mean, that basically started everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not far away from you guys. I'm just on a different path. Like, yes, people who go to the nth degree, you know, the whole, you know, take the date and do this, 1 + 1 + 2 is 4, all that kind of like stuff like that. That's ridiculous. We all agree on that. It's just, I don't know. I think maybe I'm just asking for too much honesty in things, and I'm trying to ignore. No, this is a company that does PR and does advertising, regardless of people's emotions or the way they carry themselves and everything like that. As Levi was describing earlier, how people have to rein in their own emotions and expectations.
Yeah,
I'm completely down with everything you guys say and everything. I'm just saying, it's like, what happens next year when we get another announcement? Are people gonna be totally hyped, or like, I'm not giving this a grain of salt? Oh, like until there is something in my hand physically, I don't believe squat. So that's basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, okay. Like I guess it still comes down to, you know, is the only thing that will validate your expectations from a hype video like that Diablo 4, and here is why you need to change those expectations.
Yeah, I think it's just, dang, I hate starting out sentences that way. The key factor in what I'm interpreting from a lot of people, and you can tell me if I'm interpreting you incorrectly, but it just feels like because D4 is this thing that exists at some point on this franchise's timeline or the next game, it overshadows essentially everything, to the point where reason would have you suggest that in a video like that or in a blog post like this, we can still take minor positives from that. In, like Nine is trying to really point out, there will be something to take away from BlizzCon that puts the Diablo community in a net positive. Like, we will gain something from BlizzCon. We know this. Like, that is actually a fact. D4 is more of an ephemeral fact. It's more not quite, it's intangible, but we kind of have this greater sense of, yes, it's coming, and they just have yet to really nail down when they want to tell us about it. But just because that even exists as a thought, I feel like it's confusing people, or not, maybe not confusion, it's just clouding people's judgment in how they view essentially anything that they say. So here's the alternative. They don't make the video, right? They don't say anything for 6 months. Are you not also somewhat upset or driven to this feeling of, why won't they communicate with me now? Is nothing happening? Are they not working on anything? Like, yes, BlizzCon comes and maybe they just give us the panoply of whatever they're planning right now, but are you really telling me that you wouldn't also feel a certain kind of way if they went dead silent?
I mean, the game is pretty much in maintenance mode. I mean, we have themes, we have seasonal switchover. That's what we have for the last 4 months. That's what we more or less are only expecting from this point going forward. So honestly, if we didn't have the video, I would have expected nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah,
that's honest.
For going back to your comments there, Leviathan, that kind of really resonates with actually a tweet that Brandy made earlier. There's literally nothing that we can do or say that will control speculation. That's sort of the nature of speculation. The community has been asking for transparency for years. This is exactly what transparency looks like. It's not always the news that you want to hear. It's honesty. And so that's... I think that we have reached the point where this particular line of topic is just kind of going to go in circles, and so we can move on and then kind of hit with what we're going to be putting down. We're going to be setting this one in stone, everybody, for what our actual predictions are going to be on a collection of some of the bigger rumors going on within the community right now. And yes.
All right, I just want to, this is kind of like a, let's throw a grenade as we're closing the door.
Oh boy.
But just one thing that probably doesn't mean anything, but just something to consider is, now I want to take it back, but all right, I'm just going to throw it out there anyways. So in a world where Brandy made that video and Mike Morhaime was still at Blizzard, what if now Activision changeovers, like it's getting into more, let me throw on my tinfoil hat, right? But I'm just wondering if perhaps there could be a change in the way things are going to be messaged or the way that things go about being done as we see a changeover in leadership at Blizzard. Just something to consider. I don't know. It could mean nothing. It could mean a little something.
Plausible. Anything is plausible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all. We can do predictions.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now we can do predictions about predictions?
Predictions on predictions.
Predictions on predictions. Okay. So we got together a couple of some of the bigger rumors or topics of potential things that they could be working on. And we're going to go through and kind of give we'll throw a topic out there, we'll discuss it for a little bit, and we'll throw out our final predictions. And so the first one that I want to go through and throw out there is Diablo Mobile. Is it a thing, and where does this rumor keep fucking coming from?
It's definitely the meme mobile. I needed another M, but I couldn't find it. It's definitely the meme rumor.
Yeah,
it's the lowest like potential outcome, I think, is the best way to put it. Like, no one really wants it, and it's still slightly plausible because we do know they acquired King, which just destroyed the mobile platform with Candy Crush. And you have to believe that they want to use that resource at some point. Mobile is this gigantic platform where billions of dollars can be earned. Everyone has a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, like your mom, plays something on her phone probably. So Blizzard could easily tap into that. They have Hearthstone, which is a game that's mobile but not made for mobile. So they haven't really keyed in on a title that was on day one made for that platform.
Yeah.
So is Diablo that expression?
I definitely think that even though Diablo is almost like their test bed to get their games back on consoles, I don't really see it being the title that they're going to use to get to super dedicate themselves to the mobile market. And I don't, like you mentioned, it's like the meme response that everyone is like, oh, they're going to have, what is it? Diablo Stone or Soul Stone, Heroes of Sanctuary. Is kind of like that title or something like that. But this is one that some people have actually legitimately talked about, and I don't know where it comes from because nowhere in any of the Diablo job postings have we ever seen any direction or skill sets or anything from anyone needing any type of mobile development experience. So this one seemed weird, that anyone would actually legitimately pick this one.
I just had a thought, even though it may be jumping ahead. What if it's a Diablo 1 remake on mobile?
I mean, I guess it could work.
It could. There was full-fledged Final Fantasies on mobile.
Yeah. But now okay. So now we've put it out there. We've discussed it. Predictions. Leviathan, is Diablo Mobile going to be shown at BlizzCon?
So just my yes/no answer is no.
Okay.
And my caveat is that it doesn't always have to be the main thing, which by that I mean you could actually see a Diablo mobile presence, but it could be an add-on to something else. Like Lala jokingly, I imagine, put in chat that you could have a little follower thing where you send your followers off, kind of like garrisons essentially from Warlords.
Yeah.
Where you would send your followers off to do missions on mobile and it would gain you some Paragon or experience or an item or something. Or maybe even the armory thing that you saw for World of Warcraft. They could have some sort of app development that assists you in whatever Diablo thing is coming.
Yeah. Which the armory was actually closed.
Oh, that's right. That isn't a thing anymore, right?
No, they just have the WoW companion app for going through and like controlling your followers, guild hall, you know, whichever name it takes during whichever expansion, and as well as kind of like viewing what world quests are up. Yep.
Interesting.
Dread.
Again, short answer. No. Caveat. Somehow, some way, deep in the bowels of hell, I feel that somehow it will be an inevitability for basically the exact reasons Levi said, and with ideas that you had, and even Big Daddy Dan brought up ideas of maybe it'll be kind of like, you know, like a town hub type deal. Maybe if they bring in like player housing, it'll be a way of keeping your like homestead, for lack of a better term, like going and maybe crafting stuff or gathering or all that other kind of cosmetics and stuff like that. You know, like trivial stuff, but you can do it. But instead of doing it in a game, you could do it while you're on break. So at least keeps you hooked into, oh, I'm on my lunch break. Let me pop open my Diablo app. Okay, I'm waiting for a train for the 5 minutes. Let me pop open my phone. You know, is what they were trying to do with, you know, every mobile game. Just keep you going, except this one has a main PC and we would assume console, you know, tie-in. So I don't think it's the worst thing. I just think it would be something attached to the next installment of Diablo.
I like that. I can get behind it. And so my own personal feelings for the Diablo mobile game at this BlizzCon, short answer no, and caveat fuck no.
just right to the point.
Yep.
I like this guy.
But I could, you know, caveat of my caveat. I definitely can go with Dread on that. I can see mobile support of some sort being added to it for Diablo 4, Diablo Next, but not as a standalone game. Don't get me wrong, if they came out with one, I'd play the fuck out of it, but I don't know. I don't see it happening. There's literally no evidence whatsoever on this one that has actually like been out there, or any like credible rumor. So there you go. That's it.
Well said.
Yep.
I do also like the comment in chat where, like, I mean, technically they already have their mobile game. It's just Diablo 3 on Switch.
There you go.
Oh boy. All right. Next on the block, Diablo Netflix.
Ooh.
Okay. So this one, introing it a little bit, definitely has a little more background to it, because we have seen maybe an early confirmation of it that wasn't supposed to be so early, where the supposed show writer, whose name someone will have to feed me, Nine.
Sorry.
Okay, I don't know either. But that guy, tweeted that, you know, I think the paraphrase of it was, I can basically confirm that I've been tapped to write a show of some sort for Blizzard for the Diablo universe, essentially. And then that tweet lasted for maybe a couple of hours, but of course the internet never forgets, so there's screenshots and such, but then it was deleted. And the rumor for it, originally, before that guy kind of stepped up and said he was writing it, was from, I think it was weird because it was coming from these websites we had never heard of before, like comicbook.net or something.
It was like it was like Nerd's Revenge or something like that. That it was just some sort of like movie website that had nothing to do with gaming. And it had only been around for like a couple of months. Then all of a sudden they're dropping news that, oh yeah, we just got a rumor that Netflix is in talks with Blizzard to make a Diablo series.
Yeah, sources say.
Yeah.
It was pretty peculiar. But I mean, it could have some legs. It does seem slightly credible if the pedigree of the guy, who again I cannot recall, but
Andy Cosby.
There it is. Thank you. He had worked on some other, you know, well-received shows that were adaptations from other universes, I believe. Hellboy is something that comes to mind, maybe.
I think that he was the writer for the new Hellboy series.
Okay.
or the new Hellboy movie that's coming out.
Gotcha. So let's go down the line again. 9 prediction.
My prediction is when, not if. I think Andy Cosby's kind of slip is, even if he doesn't get the job, that there definitely is something that they are pursuing. My full thoughts on this one were this BlizzCon, short answer, no. Caveat, I think it's going to be one of those ones that once things are finalized, it will be a joint announcement between Blizzard and Netflix, and then trying to tie that PR machine into the timing for BlizzCon as well, when they were only in final talks of getting like a showrunner writer a couple of weeks ago, might be too much to ask for, and that we'll probably see something later in the year or early next year to finally go through and confirm it. But because it's probably going to be like a joint thing between multiple big companies, kind of correlating their PR stuff together, it's not going to be at this BlizzCon, but shortly thereafter.
Okay. Dread prediction.
I'll more or less just say I agree with what Nine said, more or less fully, because I rediscovered my love of anime, at the ripe old age of almost 34, and I've been like hogging through Bleach. I think I'm on episode like 73 in like a week.
You poor child. You
I know.
You only have, at that rate, 70 episodes a week, you only have like 3 more years.
I know. But it's like just like rewatching that and remembering the next season of Castlevania on Netflix is coming at the end of the month, and how much I enjoyed, the first season, how I'm looking forward to the second season of that.
All 118 minutes of the first season.
Yeah, but still, it's like it was enjoying. Let's say it was worth watching them more than most things on Netflix nowadays. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, bring it on. I mean, it would just be great. It would be nice to see something in the style of Wrath, if not a little bit more, detailed and everything. Just more love, more passion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just with the timing that you stated, seems about right that it would be a joint thing, because it would be a pretty big deal if a major AAA publishing gaming company teaming up with Netflix to bring a series. I think that's fairly unique.
Mm-hmm.
Has it happened at all? If not, maybe only once or twice.
You literally just talked about the Castlevania series.
Yeah. Well, I didn't play it as a child. I know, I'm a poor child. Whatever. Yeah, so it hasn't happened too often. So I would think it would be a big thing. So yeah, Agree with you. Your point, Levi.
Yeah. I mean, I think you guys covered it pretty well. I would say definitely a matter of when, not if. I think it will definitely come to fruition at some point. Just what is the proper timing for it? Please don't be like Final Fantasy Spirits Within. That was horrible. Don't do that.
I enjoyed that movie.
I mean, like, okay, I did too, but like, it was. I think the popular thing to do is to flame it. So I was just trying to get along with the kids.
How to breathe the dream within. I'm trying to remember the song now.
Oh man, it'll come.
It will come.
Crisis Core was good though. That was a really solid effort. And it was
Advent Children.
That's what I meant. Advent Children was amazing. Kingsglaive was actually really great too. And unfortunately, these are all like movies, but just an idea of them taking a new medium, a new platform, to kind of get people. Again, I almost view it like the conversation we had prior. The same way you're going to now reach the Nintendo audience and prime people for the universe of Diablo, whatever comes after. Same way you can just continue to generate general interest in the Diablo franchise series. Yeah. If people that mainly are going to Netflix to watch Gilmore Girls, like maybe they aren't the ones that are going to click on Diablo stuff, but you could get some just scant exposure, and then now they're potential gamers or potential people that want to pick up whatever version of Diablo is coming out next.
Yeah. Just look at how big Castlevania was for 4 26-minute episodes. Or 20, it was 4 22-minute episodes.
420? What?
Doing something similar with like the franchise like Diablo, I'm sure that you would get just as big of a response.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So word.
Yeah, the next one, I hope you don't mind if I skip and put these slightly out of order. Let's say for the next one, this kind of bucket of other projects.
What's in the bucket?
Well, that's just it. We don't know.
Oh, so this is like the mystery catch-all.
Yeah, this is kind of like a mystery catch-all of, you know, what could the other project be, and are we going to get one of them announced at this year's BlizzCon?
So basically, Thunderclaw's list on Reddit of
yes, because this is like one of those ones where it's like, because the one big thing that I'll have as a takeaway from that, the biggest thing for me from that Future of Diablo video is that they're working like the whole big multiple projects. Not like we're working on a couple of projects or a few, we're working on multiple projects. Well, what the hell is multiple? How many is multiple? It's like, I need to know. Like, what are we talking about here? You know? And so, and the blog post today then also goes through and confirms that it's like they've got, you know, their teams are going through and working on multiple projects. So it's not even like say the Book of Adria or the comic would be considered part of one of these projects or something like that. These are like games or something to support games that are being worked on.
It could be a number of things, like I see in chat already. Coloring book, Kadala punching bag.
I like it.
I mean, you could even have more things like you see in the Blizzard store already. They have a couple puzzles from the other franchises, like World of Warcraft and stuff. Could have Diablo puzzles.
Yeah.
Anything really.
Yeah. Diablo Underoos. What about Diablo Dunkaroos?
Ooh, I love Dunkaroos.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cayenne flavored chocolate dip.
So like this is one of those ones where it's like I don't even know, like, because we have some limited information, and some of the other things that we talked about on the list could have been these multiple projects, or the next topic that we have could also be one of these other projects. So I don't even know, you know, where to even begin with this. But I just wanted to at least like kind of like acknowledge it as a thing that's out there.
I guess if I had to put a percent, maybe the way to observe it is like, what's the percent chance that we're wrong on any of our other predictions and it falls into this bucket, whatever is on the stage or whatever kind of takes the lead position.
Yeah.
So I would give it, I would honestly give it a 10% chance of being something that would be in this bucket, because I think the things that we've isolated are pretty evidenced, or at least supported enough that they seem plausible to be discussed at BlizzCon, or at least as part of this BlizzCon other projects reveal. And if it was just something so out of the blue that we hadn't picked up on at all, I would be like 10% shocked that would be the way it would go. Yeah.
And I think that I will go ahead and put my I will throw my dice in with your lot on that one, where anything that we're going to see or hear about will probably be one of the things that we've already codified.
Yeah, more or less the same. Maybe I'll up mine from 10 to like 15 to 20, but you know, it's hard. It's like, what's in the bucket? We don't know.
You don't know what's in the box. Yeah.
Although, you know what's not, you know what's outside of the box, or sorry, wait, I don't know how to phrase this, but whatever we haven't put on the list that could be in this bucket is the D3 character pack / expansion. That's like a tangible item that's not on the list. It could be a project.
True. We can put that. If you want, we can put that as the next topic.
No, I want it in the other projects. So
Okay,
then when
other
we're wrong, we're
projects.
like,
Other projects.
Right.
Character pack and or expansion. No, I'm gonna give that one a thumbs down with a caveat that I do expect something involving D3. And my reasoning for something involving D3 is that they have run out of community buffs to reuse for seasons. Besides, like, 25% magic fine, 25% XP, which, come on, that's nothing. Or 2,000% legendary drop rate, which sounds like fun for a weekend, and then you're done. With the game at that point. I don't think that could be sustained for an entire season. So I am expecting them to go through and maybe do something a bit out there. We know that the Switch version of D3 has gone gold, so the dev team, the Classic Games division, which I believe is the one that's working on the Switch, we've seen a lot of evidence to go through and support that, is no longer having to go through and spend a lot of development time on that Switch project, that they'll definitely be watching it at release for some changes and bug fixings and such, but that they're actually now able to go back in and now add content in support for Diablo 3, and that this would be a hell of a time in order to go through and do it, that right after you release the content or the D3 on the Switch, to then come out with like a big season, like no sets or all sets or something, just something different or off the wall, a bit more akin to Path of Exile. This would be the time to do it. And so I'm seeing maybe like some quality of life changes, as well as some sort of a big push for a new, more exciting season than the last two that we've had.
So it sounds like you want more percents in the other projects bucket then.
I guess so. If we're throwing D3 content into other projects, then yes, then I'm kicking that one up to a thumbs up. That I definitely expect to see something involving the future of Diablo 3. I mean, even if they're going to fully put D3 in maintenance mode and not support it anymore, which with how much of the media machine behind the Switch release is, I don't see that happening. Especially now that I think that it is better for the lifespan of D3 that it is in the hands of the Classic Games division than continuing to be worked on with Team 3, because Team 3 is they're making Diablo 4. Like they don't have time to add content in for D3, but Classic Games has time to add content for D3.
Seems reasonable to me. With that in mind, maybe I go to Dread's 20% then, because I guess it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, because we were first looking at this bucket like if we're wrong about everything else, then the bucket is now right.
Yeah. But
I think the bucket could exist, and there could also still be one of these other things that we've mentioned, kind of like coexisting. Yeah, I think I would alter my prediction to say that how about this? I 35% agree with you that something of that nature could be announced or take place for D3.
Yeah, I would be between 20 and 30% that something would happen. It's not because I think we would all agree that a character DLC or an expansion are likely. It's just something to keep Diablo 3 going, and even with just the themes and ideas, because as you mentioned, the 25% magic fun and experience, I don't think they would do that one, because that it would, if they're still holding the sanctity of non-season versus season and the carryover and how that could adversely affect some people, if you kind of look at it that way, then that buff is kind of invalid as far as being in the pool. That's your viewpoint on the matter, that's mine. Yeah, I think that there'll probably be something for D3. It'll just be a matter of what.
Fair enough. All right, and I guess the last one It's kind of a big one.
My favorite.
Yours and mine. Diablo remasters or remakes or whatever direction you want to, fully take those projects. But the idea here is either Diablo 1 or Diablo 2 or both being remade or remastered and announced as such, for playability in the near future. And I guess the evidence for these or the impetus behind it is that, well, Classic Games is a thing now. It's a department. It's a successful department because they've now successfully remastered StarCraft, the original. We saw some pretty solid updates to Warcraft 3 with some patching in recent time. And so where does that leave Diablo? And I guess the one kind of in the background hunty thing that the community found was that whole D2 PTR that is live but not live.
Yeah, how they basically this was like, kind of like the brute forcing of web links and such, but when they went through and they came out with that Warcraft 3 PTR, that was kind of like a direct download through the newer patching system. They tried the Diablo links by replacing like the Warcraft 3 with Diablo, and it would just return an error, but now it actually downloads something. It downloads a patcher that says there's no patch.
There is no cat level.
There is no cat level. But yeah, this is one I actually went through and researched for a bit, and that we've talked about previously. Like David Brevik was had gone with an interview with Riker and had said that the source code for like Diablo 2 is more than likely lost, so that kind of rules out like a full-on like remaster, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't remake it, because they can always reverse engineer it. They have access to at least more tools and parts of the code than what we would have, as well as like the original like design documents, and they know the background of how all of it works. Each individual square that you can move to is actually divided into a square of 16 smaller squares and stuff, and that how it changes your actual placement when you move around, even though you're clicking at the same place, yada yada, all those things. Long story short, they've been looking for people to help them with remaking or revitalizing the StarCraft, Warcraft, and Diablo titles since 2015. And now that's a lot of time to go through and reverse engineer a game that took a small dev team 2 years to make.
Seems to be good evidence.
Yeah.
So there's, I guess you could say that there's kind of a case on both sides for probability. With that, are you ready to commit to a prediction yet?
Yeah, though when the community thinks about old school Diablo, everyone thinks about Diablo 2, not Diablo 1. And this is further going through and fueling some of my expectations, is all of the imagery that we've been seeing is all Diablo 1. The Diablo statue and the BlizzCon goodie bag is a recreation of the Diablo 1 Diablo that they made for the Darkening of Tristram event in D3. There was the leak, a little hiccup with the StarCraft vinyl, the little virtual ticket video that they put out there for the StarCraft sound design, that had the original D1 suit that they had made for the launch of the game back in 1996. That was for the thumbnail for like a day before it eventually got replaced. And so there's been a lot of this stuff that's been going through and hinting that there's something brewing with Diablo 1. And if they're going to go and do like a remaster / remake, Diablo 1 would probably be easier to tackle than D2. And so it might be one of those things that they'll do that one first. And so I'm definitely...
Wait,
oh.
Before I predict,
I have
2 things to throw into the pot.
2.
1 for, 1
Mm.
against. Or,
Okay.
well, actually, I would ask you on the second. But
Okay.
the 1 for, I think another consideration, too, is if you look at kind of today's player base, there are probably a lot more people interested or knowing about Diablo that have not played D1
Mm-hmm.
versus D2. So even kind of more, I would say, reason to go for D1 to be a remaster, because it would just potentially generate more like, oh, I've never tried that before, let me go for it. But let me question you with this, and I'm not going to take full credit because I read it a bit in chat, but would you think that the Darkening of Tristram existing as an event hinders or helps add a case for D1 being remastered? Because you could kind of say they've already done it.
What if the Darkening of Tristram was a litmus test for them to go back and finish a remake of Diablo 1?
It could very well be, or even the inspiration point. Hey,
Yeah.
we did it, and you know what? That was kind of fun, but we could do it like even better.
Yeah.
Do it for real this time.
For real? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that's one of the core questions that's going to come down to it, because it definitely kind of like rules out the possibility of remasters, and that we're actually talking about remakes here. And they're going to have to go through and see what is going to be more worth the time and what is going to be the easier project to complete. Is their goal to remake both D1 and D2? If you did 2 first, would there even be a point to be doing D1? Because like you said, most people have never even played it, and that, like, you know, most people think of Diablo 2 when they think of Diablo.
For sure.
And so this would be a prime opportunity to get it in the hands of people, to get people going back and playing it again, and then follow it up with a D2 remaster remake afterwards. Because, you know, there's going to be time. Diablo 4 is years away. You know, just putting that out there. That could that be like this year we get a D1 remaster, next year we get a D2, or the year after that we get a D2. You know, there are things that could happen. But yeah, it's I'm throwing it out there that I think that it is. I think that a remake is going to be announced at this year's BlizzCon, and I think that it is probably going to be Diablo 1. That is going to be the remake. And that's my feeling on it.
All right. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to say that I agree that we will see a remade game, but I think it'll be D2. And the reason I go for D2 is because I think even though you could likely get more people that haven't experienced D1 trying it out if you remake it, I think the easier sell is a D2 remaster. It's definitely the more ambitious project, and I like the reasoning that you're throwing out there, that in order to fill this gap between having D3 and it going through its paces and not receiving many updates, and then waiting for D4, there's got to be other things in the middle there that fill that time. So we're really just kind of bantering over the order. Yeah. But I feel like you could get more people on the hype train for remastered or remade games if you go for D2 first, just because when you do think of old D2 in quotes, I even gave it away there. If you think of old Diablo in quotes, you do go to D2 first.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely is what I'm definitely acknowledging, that would be the community's expectation of, if they're going to remake a title, they're going to remake D2, because that's what the majority of the community is going to want, as opposed to a D1. But I guess it comes down to, if they want to do both, that they would have to do D1 first, because if they okay, so Dred can just say that they're going to do both as a combo pack, and we cover all of our bases.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, screw the rules. Yeah, they could do both because they could do both because even though I didn't play D1 or D2 all that much, I'm assuming if they do D1 and that sets up, again, how I said the Diablo 3 on Switch sets up the infrastructure, BattleNet, login systems for the next game, when you kind of think about that as far as, you know, if they're going to do a remake, they could do both because they do D1, and then that easily sets up all the infrastructure for remaking Diablo 2, and then any assets that transfer over would transfer over, and then all they have to do is just fill in what they're missing in Diablo 2. So they could have 25% of the assets if they bring stuff from D1 over. They could have 35. They could have 45. They could have more or less. But the point is that if they've done all the hard work, why not just do X percentage more and do both? They could very well do it, and they basically, how funny would it be after all this time, there would be a virtual battle chest of Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 again. It would just be in the remake form after all these years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I will say, I mean, I will 100% say that I don't necessarily believe in my prediction. I just want it to be a little different, but because we agree all the time. But the other point for D1 is that, again, one of the things that we kind of thought we were feeling a theme on was this return to kind of I wouldn't say the beginning, but more the general themes of the franchise, like the whole bestiary kind of covering the landscape of the enemies that we've come to know and love. Even like we don't know what the Netflix series or what the comics or anything are going to cover per se, but kind of just this idea of them seeming to dive back into the storyline a bit more, maybe origins a bit more. It could then say, let's go back, especially if you believe in the whole prequel being the next thing for the franchise too.
Yeah, kind of like a Diablo back to basics, Sanctuary 101 type deal.
Right. Like really dive back into how this whole thing started in the first place. And nostalgia seems to be driving a lot of the entertainment industry right now.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that one though, of like all the things predicted, I feel like this feels the most likely.
Oh yeah. I like I said, I'm willing to go through and put out there that I feel in my heart of hearts that we're going to get a remake, remaster, whatever they want to title it as. It's almost like a guaranteed, and like kind of like the downplaying of any expectations for D4. I think has only solidified my feelings on that one.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
I kind of actually I want to on the show just bet you because I like bets. So if you're wrong,
yeah,
how about you buy me a Moscow Mule? And if you're right, I'll buy you a Moscow Mule.
Done.
All right.
Done.
Boom. Bets.
All right. So I mean, there is a situation where we're both right.
You both buy me a drink. How about that?
Yeah, because there is the situation that they announce both at the same time. I'm saying D1. You said D2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they could do both.
Then I guess Dred's right. We'll just buy him drinks.
There we go.
All right.
All right.
Easy alcohol. Yeah. Easy
but
bet.
I mean, if Dred is getting in on this, then if I'm right, you both have to buy me one, and then if you're right, then the both of us have to buy you one.
Okay.
Yeah. Dred's wallet has to get in on the line on this one too. If he's gonna try and benefit from this one, he's got to put some risk in.
Fair enough.
Got to put some fresh meat in the game, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You guys will see evidence of whoever wins on the. Oh, actually, but there's also a scenario where we all lose.
I mean, this is the case.
Then we all buy ourselves a sad drink at the bar and just contemplate life for a minute or two.
I was gonna put out there that we all buy Brandy a drink, but I mean, I guess we could do that too.
We can do that regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have one last thing. Does anyone want to put any predictions out there for Diablo 4?
As I said to both of you before, there's a big old nope cannon in the sky.
Yep, this was on the show.
That's charging its laser.
Diablo 4 was on the show notes for our predictions, and we just kind of left it there. Before the blog post. But I was gonna say, and I got my thoughts out there on Diablo 4 at least prior to this, that it was essentially like a coin flip. Like, we know that they're working on it, they know we know, but are they going to announce it? And at this point we feel they're not. Or I guess we pretty much know they're not.
Alright. I'm doing it.
Okay.
I'm taking the outside line. This is also a 9-ball theory. That this is just subterfuge, guys. This is just we really just don't care about PR at all. Everyone hates us right now. We're telling you it's not happening, and then they do it anyway and announce D4. I'm taking the line, boys. Hop on my back. Who wants to ride the hype Leviathan? It's not a train anymore.
So as a joke, I threw out there, well, Blizzard is just going through and they're telling us they're not going to announce it just so that way they can announce it and then surprise us anyways. And then lo and behold, like, Bloodshed and Riker's chats on their streams is just full of everybody going through and talking about, well, what if they're still going to announce it? They're just trying to trick us. Like, they're legitimately talking about this. No, this is not real.
I take it back because I don't even want that to be a consideration. I take it back. I take it all back.
Yeah, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could chase that dragon.
Yeah.
that's a little much at this point.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
But with that, we're going to be going through and rounding it out. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time for the community section, so that we got a couple items of the weeks, a couple emails, including Watson, Paladin email. Don't worry. It's just. I've got to be at work shortly, and so the episode cannot go on any longer than this. Normally, that I would ask if there are any other topics, but there are none. That's it. We're done. But if you want to go through and say, hey, put in your own BlizzCon predictions, obviously try to get them in before BlizzCon, otherwise you're cheating, drop us a line at westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com if you have any comments, suggestions for the show, or you want to go and show off your own epic items. Again, that email address is westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. You can also follow us. We're on Twitter at the WM Workshop. And then you can always go through and join us here at the live stream every other Wednesday night at twitch.tv/BlizzPro at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. While you're here, go ahead and click that follow button and check out the other content that we've got available. We've got the Blizz Pro Adventure Club that likes to go and play a whole bunch of random assortment of games. I would not be surprised to see them going and maybe playing some Diablo, going up to all of the Diablo hype for this BlizzCon. And if you want to go through, support the show, or to support the Blizz Pro network as a whole, go ahead and click that subscribe button, because it definitely goes a very long way to helping support the hosting costs for our podcast, Well Met, and everything else that we do at the Blizz Pro network, which you can find pretty much all the topics that we talked about this show and more at diablo.blizzpro.com. We are even in-game. We are the Blizz Pro clan. If you don't want to leave your current clan or just want to hang out, you can always join our in-game community, the Westmarch Workshop. And then you can even go through and hop on Discord at discord.gg/BlizzPro. I've actually been spending a lot of time in there lately, not only while playing StarCraft and Heroes, just hanging out in general. And so feel free, if you're on the Discord server, just jump into whatever channel I'm in and let's chat, whether I'm playing Heroes or not. I love to talk Diablo, especially if it's about lore. And then you can also find us individually. I am at Neinball Gamer on Twitter, and you can follow me at twitch.tv/Neinball. Leviathan, you can follow at LeviathanD3 on Twitter, and you can catch his a lot more regular streaming than mine at twitch.tv/Leviathan111. And then, of course, Mr. Dredscythe, you can follow him at Dredscythe on Twitter. And now I will at least leave it open. Is there any last comments or anything that you guys would like to cover?
Oh, man. BlizzCon's next. We won't have to wonder or speculate anymore.
Yeah. It's pretty much just a couple weeks away. And then we're done. We'll know everything. Well, not everything, because they've already said that there's some stuff that they're not going to announce that they are working on, so we won't know that, but, you know.
All portals to hell shall be revealed.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we will embrace the dead. We're ending on that?